Okay, mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm just gonna make sure before I get started. And I'm double checking with my live chat. Okay, thank you, Baby Peaches. Hey, Sexy RN. Hey, Baby Peaches. Shirley Mack. Hi, Ty. All right, let's get into it because I have a few articles for y'all. But what we're going to first start with is what the Department of Justice has put into their report. And I'm just going to go straight from the source. This is their press release. And it says Justice Department finds conditions at Fulton County Jail in Georgia violate the Constitution and federal law. It says the Justice Department announced today, today, November 14th, its findings that conditions of confinement at the Fulton County Jail in Georgia violate the 8th and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The department's report details its findings from a comprehensive investigation of the jail, funded and operated by Fulton County and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. The investigation included the main jail in Atlanta and 3 annex facilities, the Marietta Annex in Atlanta, the North Annex in Alpharetta, and the South Annex in Union City. The jail currently houses around 2,000 people and in recent years has surpassed 3,000 people. LaShawn Thompson's horrific death was symptomatic of a pattern of dangerous and dehumanizing conditions in the Fulton County Jail, said Attorney General Merrick B. Garland. The Justice Department's report concluded that Fulton County and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office allow unsafe and unsanitary conditions at the jail. As a result, people incarcerated in the Fulton County Jail suffered harms from pest infestation and malnourishment and were put at substantial risk of serious harm from violence by other incarcerated people, including homicides, stabbings, and sexual abuse. The unconstitutional and unlawful conditions at the Fulton County Jail have persisted for far too long, and we are committed to working with Fulton County and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office to remedy them. We cannot turn a blind eye to the inhumane, violent, and hazardous conditions that people are subjected to inside the Fulton County Jail, said Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. Detention in the Fulton County Jail has amounted to a death sentence for dozens of people who have been murdered or who died as a result of the atrocious conditions inside the facility. It's not just adults, but also children who are subjected to conditions and treatment that violate the Constitution and defy federal law. Many people held in jails in our county have not been convicted. They are awaiting hearings, trial dates, or are serving short sentences for misdemeanors. At the end of the day, people do not abandon their civil and constitutional rights at the jailhouse door. Jails and prisons across the country must protect people from the kind of gross violations and unconstitutional conditions that we have uncovered here. We hope our findings report sounds an alarm that will prompt Fulton County officials to work with the Justice Department to implement the reforms necessary to ensure constitutional conditions going forward. In Fulton County, people in custody awaiting formal charges or trials frequently must protect themselves from brutal physical attacks, endure frequent excessive force, manage their well-being with inadequate food and unsanitary living conditions, and hope they can find access to a strained medical and mental health care program. This is unacceptable, said U.S. Attorney Ryan K. Buchanan for the Northern District of Georgia. Our Constitution requires humane conditions while incarcerated that, at a minimum, ensure people in custody are safe. The findings regarding the Fulton County Jail reveal grave and diffuse failures to safeguard the men and women housed in its facilities, including a disturbing frequency of deaths among incarcerated people. We expect Fulton County and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office to share our sense of urgency about the seriousness of the violations described in this report and to work cooperatively with our office and the Justice Department to remedy these systemic deficiencies in the jail. Following an extensive investigation, the department concludes that Fulton County and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office routinely violate the rights of people incarcerated at the jail. Specifically, the department found that the jail fails to protect people from the substantial risk of serious harm from violence by other incarcerated people, including homicides, stabbings, and sexual abuse. houses incarcerated people in unconstitutional living conditions that are unsanitary and dangerous, fails to provide adequate medical and mental health services to incarcerated people, uses solitary confinement in discriminatory and unconstitutional ways that exposes incarcerated people, including 17-year-old children and those with mental health disabilities, to substantial harm, fails to provide special education services to 17-year-old boys and girls who are entitled to those services while they are incarcerated at the jail. The unlawful and dangerous practices identified in the report are longstanding and have contributed to multiple deaths and other serious harm. From 2022 to the present, 6 incarcerated people have died in violence at the jail. In 2023, there were more than 300 stabbings in the jail, which involved uncontrolled contraband and makeshift weapons. There have been 4 deaths from suicide in the past 4 years, including as recently as April. The Justice Department conducted its investigation of the Fulton County Jail under the Civil Rights of Institutionalized Persons Act, Americans with Disabilities Act, and the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, which prohibits law enforcement officers from engaging in a pattern or practice of conduct that deprives people of rights protected by the Constitution or federal law. These statutes authorize the Attorney General to file a lawsuit in federal court seeking court-ordered remedies to eliminate a pattern of practice of unlawful conduct. The department provided Fulton County and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office with written notice of the supporting facts for its conclusions and the minimum remedial measures necessary to address the alleged violations. The county will work with the Justice Department toward a cooperative resolution. The findings announced today are the result of the Justice Department's civil investigation and are separate from any criminal cases brought by the Justice Department. The Civil Rights Division Special Litigation Section and U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia investigated the case. The Civil Rights Division continues to prioritize unconstitutional conditions and violations of federal law in correctional and juvenile justice facilities. It opened new investigations into prisons and jails in Tennessee, California, South Carolina, and juvenile justice facilities across Kentucky. The division also issued findings in its investigations of Mississippi prisons, Texas juvenile justice systems facilities, and the Georgia Department of Corrections. The division is also litigating the constitutionality of conditions in Alabama's prisons for men. Okay. And they also leave contact information for the Civil Rights Division as well. And this was officially from the Office of Public Affairs for the U.S. Department of Justice. So then, just to go back to, there were some other stories that were coming out, obviously well before this, but these are the ones that I pulled. So back in April 2023, it said sheriff, this is the one that was referenced in the Department of Justice's press release, but it says sheriff responds to claims inmate was eaten alive by bed bugs inside Fulton County Jail. It says the family of a man who died in the Fulton County Jail says he was eaten alive in his cell by bed bugs and insects. Now the family's lawyer is calling for a criminal investigation and a new Fulton County Jail to be built. And again, this came out April 13th, 2023. The family gathered outside the Fulton County Courthouse on Thursday to demand accountability in the death of LaShawn Thompson, 35. He died in September after a 3-month stay at the jail. Photos provided by the family's lawyer show a jail cell in deplorable conditions and pictures of Thompson's body, of his face and torso covered with bugs. Thompson was arrested last June for simple battery, a misdemeanor. Attorney Michael Harper said Thompson was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but was physically healthy when booked into jail. There is no excuse for a mentally ill inmate to be left alone in a jail, abandoned to die, Harper said. The medical examiner reported Thompson's cause of death as undetermined. They did nothing to help him, nothing. They found him dead in his cell, lying there infested with bed bugs and lice, and that's what killed him, Harper said. Thompson's brother, Brad McCrae, said the family was horrified to see the photos. It was heartbreaking because nobody should be seen like that. Nobody should see that, McCrae said. The family is calling for a criminal investigation of the death and to replace the Fulton County Jail. A spokesperson for the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, which runs the jail, sent Channel 2 Action News a written response saying a full investigation was launched into the circumstances surrounding Thompson's death. First and foremost, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office would like to extend condolences to the family LaShawn Thompson. The manner and cause of death was listed as undetermined by the county medical examiner. A full investigation was launched into the circumstances surrounding Mr. Thompson's death. As a part of that ongoing investigation, immediate action was taken, including but not limited to approving an additional expenditure of $500,000 to address the infestation of bed bugs, lice, and other vermin within the Fulton County Jail, which was done in addition to prior cleaning operations targeting communicable diseases that are common in congregate settings, and updating protocols for security rounds to include addressing sanitary conditions. The ongoing investigation is examining details regarding the medical care provided and ultimately will determine whether any criminal charges are warranted in this case. The health, well-being, and security of inmates in our care is our top priority. It's no secret that the dilapidated and rapidly eroding conditions of the current facility make it incredibly difficult to meet the goal of providing a clean, well-maintained, and healthy environment for all inmates and staff. That is precisely why Sheriff Labatt continues to call building a new Fulton County Jail and criminal justice complex, which will provide an elite level of care, mental health services, security, and cleanliness. Now, I'm gonna sound repetitive when I say this because I'm pretty sure every time we see any story, I believe that when they have these contracts with these security security companies, and they have these contracted security officers, because it's a contract, they're definitely going to always maximize profit first, which means squeezing more money for the government to pay for the contract, but then increase the margins by understaffing. So whatever contract company it is, unless there's some overhaul and they really, really have to meet some checks and balances, they're always going to understaff. They're never going to make regular rounds, let alone the next thing that you need is an actual either good cleaning contract or just supplies provided that inmates can keep their areas sanitary, and then of course actually going through with extermination and stuff like that as well through professional services. This one hits me harder for some reason than even stabbings and stuff. I don't know. I think it's because of the slowness of it, I can't even comprehend that that's how someone can go. Like this one is bad. I do think that the building itself is already bad, but I also think that the people and anyone that gets a profit from running a jail does not help to make it any better either. That's my opinion. TD Love says, sounds just as bad as our jail in Columbia, South Carolina. I can believe it. I don't know. I mean, are there any jails that have a reputation in America that have a reputation of actually being sanitary, and it is more about the incarceration than the inhumane conditions? Because I'm honestly curious, because I unfortunately picture all jails kind of like this. I really do. Hey, Bama girl. Hey, everybody that's come in. So now this one came out April 17th, 2023. Living at the Zoo sounds better than this. I agree, Sharon. I agree. I couldn't imagine I couldn't even imagine being just somebody that had to investigate it and see those pictures, let alone that being my family member and I see those pictures. I'm going crazy. I would lose my mind. I would absolutely lose my mind. This next one about the conditions, it says, let me see if this is the same person or a different person before I reread y'all the same story, but just in a different way, because sometimes they'll do that. Let me see. Okay, yeah, this is the same story, just written a different way. Okay, so this one came out April 18th, 2023. Right, that's what I read this first, TD Love. We read the Department of Justice's press release first about them being investigated. Wait, are you, unless you're talking about South Carolina as well as being investigated? Okay, so we're jumping back in time a little bit. April 17th, 2023. It says, it was past time to clean house. Chief Fulton County jailers resign after family says inmate died in filth. So This is obviously a result, I'm sure, of LaShawn's passing as well. But then South Carolina's being investigated. Okay. Got you. I wonder, I'm not saying it had to be on this list, but I just know they listed a few places. I'm just double checking. Let me see. Because we just read off a lot but it was Alabama, Mississippi stuck out to me. Now I'm trying to see, where was it at? Oh, here it is. Yeah, here you are. Tennessee, California, South Carolina, Kentucky, Mississippi, Texas, Georgia, Alabama. Okay. I know peaches and cream. I know. All right. Hold on. I'm trying to get back to where I was. It says that the Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labatt announced Monday that several of the Fulton County Jail's executive staff have resigned after lawyers claimed a mentally ill inmate died after a bedbug infestation. Okay. So this isn't even the people that are walking off the job. They have to actually see this day to day. These are the ones that don't want to take responsibility for where the money really went. Because when you title it jailers resign, I'm thinking it's the security officer level, but they're talking about the executive staff. Yeah. They still need to be investigated, criminally investigated, because I don't care if you resign after something like that. Like, where was the money going? What were y'all doing? And if you were enforcing the normal procedure, they need to look into that too. But yeah, let's see here. It says a spokesperson for Labatt said that the executive team, which has more than 65 years of jail and administration and experience, and I kind of hate when people do this. I guess I don't know if I'd ever do this if I had a business and I had a lot of people with a lot of years of professionalism in that field. But I do hate when people combine the years of experience as if it's a consecutive, instead of just like, say someone has 10, another had 5, another had 15, and then they just combine it and say 65 years of experience. I'm like, that's not really what that means to me. Like, math means things to me, and I don't like that kind of in general. Treating this story is not news right now. Roaches, rodents. Wait, is on the news. Oh yeah, that's why I'm talking about it. Yeah. That's why I'm talking about it. Okay. Let's see. So it says, when leveraged at its very best, that experience can be invaluable. However, it can also lend itself to complacency, stagnation, and settling for the status quo, which I agree, because, people will say, well, that's how we always do it. If you've ever had to work for somebody, with somebody, that you're going to hear that at least once. This is how it's always been done. And there has been a problem before, one of those. But it says the sheriff's office is also reviewing all legal options to change medical vendors and enter into a new contract with a provider that can effectively, consistently, and compassionately deliver the best standard of care. Now, I have a question for y'all that do follow these things closely. Was LaShawn the one that Attorney Love also put in jail? Was he the one? No, because his was a misdemeanor, I think. So that couldn't have been the one. That might have been a different story I'm thinking about. Because that person also they had mental issues, but they had committed murder. But it was how she handled the case that was obviously under scrutiny. And since we see how she's handling this YSL case, we can see that it's not like she's just really on her stuff and knows her job or anything. But I think I'm thinking about somebody else, though, now that I'm recalling that. Yeah. So his lawyers demanded a criminal investigation. It's right here. It says Thompson was being held on misdemeanor battery charges that he had yet to even be tried for. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm not trying to make y'all see that image. Okay. Let me see what this one is. So all these are kind of connected. Okay. It says that, see, I don't like this either. I don't like this because that doesn't mean anything that is going to go to the right places unless there's some auditing that's going to happen and some milestone checks or something along the way. Because it says $5.3 million approved for Fulton County Jail after family claims inmate eaten alive by bed bugs. Now, this happened on April 19th. That story had just broken let me see, April 13th. So within 6 days, they get approved for $5.3 million. I don't trust it's gone or will go to where it was supposed to go to. I'll tell you that right now. It says Fulton County has approved more than $5 million in funding for emergency improvements to the jail. I feel like some of it will, because they always got to show a little evidence of what they're doing, but I don't trust it. I don't trust it. Okay, and it also so it says this comes just days after Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labatt asked for 3 top jail officials to resign: Chief Jailer Colonel John Jackson and Assistant Chief Jailers Lieutenant Colonel Derek Singleton and Lieutenant Colonel Adam Lee resigned from their positions earlier this week. The sheriff said he was looking into how it became infested. It says he asked the council for $5.3 million to make several changes to the jail, including cleaning and sanitizing it. The board approved the money. The board commissioners broke down the investment. It says $2.1 million for devices to track detainee heart rate and blood pressure, $485,000 for sanitizing and decontaminating medical and psychiatric observation units, $630,000 for 4D imaging of mail contents to detect narcotics and other contraband in mail sent to inmates, $1.1 million for 91 additional surveillance cameras, $1 million for additional emergency management support with emergency management services. I hope emergency management services includes actual medical professionals, because where's the staff that if someone with these $2.1 million devices to track their heart rate and blood pressure, who responds to that if they're understaffed? It says they also invested another $869,893 into a feasibility study toward a new Fulton County jail. Civil rights leaders will gather in front of the jail on Thursday afternoon to question why it took so long for the public to learn about Thompson's death and why the sheriff has not spoken with his family. Well, let's see. That was April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So we're 6 months down the line, and none of this is supposed to happen I'm sure within a year. But I do just wonder, is it even going to where it's supposed to go to get the ball rolling? I have very little faith in that. Okay, let me see this last one, see if it has anything new. Okay, so there was an audit done. So it says that Channel 2 had gotten an exclusive look inside the jail with Labatt, who is heading a safety and security audit of the jail. The audit revealed flooded cells from burst pipes behind the walls, exposed wiring, and crumbling infrastructure, and among other things. It says this unit has people living in it, living like this, Labatt said. And these aren't 2-week-old problems. This actually had people that are in our care and custody actually living here. Labatt said that at one point the flooding was so bad, it was like we had people walking around like they were in the middle of the Chattahoochee. Officials are currently conducting a safety and security audit. New interim chief jailer Curtis Clark said he started his career at the jail, but he's since worked serving warrants in internal affairs, training, executive protection, and as a bomb tech. He said that in this new role, he's motivated by fighting for those who can't fend for themselves. I never shy away from a challenge, Clark said, and I'll be honest, I had no idea the conditions are what they are. The safety and security audit Labatt ordered found a hole in a cell wall that connected the cell to the cell next door, posing a major security problem. He said just about every shower in the jail is filthy, and there aren't nearly enough of them. We have begun working with the Board of Commissioners to get the funding to really outline these with better material. 70 male inmates have been moved to the Atlanta City Detention Center to free up space, but Labatt said they still have as many as 500 people sleeping on the floor. Former Chief Jailer John Jackson told Channel 2's Ashley Lincoln that he and 2 other ranking jail commanders forced to resign recently are not to blame for the conditions of the jail, and that he found innovative ways to address them. But funding, overcrowding, and low staffing have contributed to deterioration years in the making. I do believe that you do need the funding to be there. And I knew it with the low staffing and yep, with the overcrowding. So I don't know how much they could have done. I don't know. I don't know if like there should have been more alarms sounded possibly. Like I don't know, but I do think there's a lot of responsibility to go around. It says Winnie talked to one inmate who said they found black mold in his cell on Monday and that now he has respiratory problems. Well, we haven't determined it was black mold, but it is certainly filthy, Labat admitted. Another inmate said that he has been bitten twice in the groin by some sort of vermin. That inmate was just at the jail for a failure to appear charge because he said they sent his court date to the wrong address. Labat said that sheer manpower is a big piece of fixing the jail. When we make conditions better for the inmates, we make the conditions better for the staff, Clark said. And see, right there, that's one thing. And I think some places have implemented that where there's some, I don't know, but this failure to appear, I guess it depends on what charges, but the overcrowding, I do think there's ways that these judges could rule to not have someone immediately go into jail for certain things. Either depending on the crime or something. Like I do think that like the overcrowding doesn't have to be, but I don't remember if I probably saw this in a documentary. I probably did, but the judges seem to be incentivized to keep the jails not just full but overcrowded. I think because the contractors and the owners of facilities are usually paid. And I know it's prisons. I know prisons are privatized, but I just feel like there's some hands being greased somewhere, and the more heads, the more money. But obviously the worst conditions for the ones that actually have to be there. Right, Sharon. That's where I am. I know it's jail, but golly, right. That's exactly where I am. So that's where we are. They're being investigated, and obviously things take a long time, and people are still in those conditions as all of this is happening. It is sad. It is very sad. I don't remember names by heart, but I always go back to thinking, and I know one of y'all is going to tell me probably, but he was so young and he couldn't afford his bond, and he did not do the crime, but just because of the loophole and technicality, he was held in a very violent facility, like with violent offenders. And it did so much damage to him that when he finally did get out a few years later, he still took his own life. I always think about him when I think about jail conditions and things like that. I think when I only took like one criminal justice class, but that was one of the things that it was actually police officers that taught our class. I don't know if that's normal or not, but just saying that's what it was in our class. It was police they were active, like they would still be like they taught. Because I did the night college classes. They taught at night, and it was being police officers during the day. But they're the ones that put that story on my map. And I can't remember his name right now, but his face, I won't ever forget his face. But that's what I always think about when I think of jail conditions. Like, yes, the incarceration part, if that is warranted, I get. But the conditions, no. And then usually it's because of greed. It's because of greed, and then the people that are greedy try to justify, well, because of what they did, they shouldn't be comfortable anyway. There's a comfortable and there's a humane. Like that's not the same thing. So yeah, I do have problems with stuff like that. I definitely do. So that's my standpoint on it. I'll probably see y'all a lot. Well, we already have YSL weekend anyway, but I'll be live off and on because there are a few stories coming out that I just wanted to just bring to y'all's attention. And we'll see. We will see. But yeah, this one is sad. I'd already read it, but I guess I skimmed it first. But that bed bug one it's really rocking my nerves right now. It really is. Hey, Shay B. Okay, y'all, but I'll be seeing you off and on from now until Sunday evening. We'll see each other off and on. So hopefully y'all will come back. Thank you for your time, and I'll see y'all soon. All right. Bye.